Hey everybody, Anthony 4x4 Diesel. We're doing a service on our 2022 70,000 kilometre, almost, just under, a couple hundred Ks under, I think. Every service has been done bang on, I think. Like, you know, you look at the book and you think this is all dodged up, because it's like, same on the other 1Gd, I had 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, roll into the dealer right on the kilometre. I expect more of a reaction when I do crazy things like that, but doesn't usually happen. But this one's just a little bit under 70, pretty basic minor service. Haven't had any problems with DPFs, timing chain issues, or EGR coolers yet. Like I said, on this engine, always keep an eye on your coolant level, and if you see that coolant level dropping down, it's a serious thing, because these EGR coolers, it's quite common that they leak, and they're not about under $1,000 like the 1Kd, they're closer to $2,000, so it is an expensive replacement. Keep an eye on that, because if you don't notice it and a lot of coolant gets through to your engine, it could end up costing you an engine instead. So 3 things to sort of keep an eye on. We're just going to drop the oil out of this one. So obviously first thing that happens is the filler cap comes off and the dipstick comes out. That way you cannot forget to put oil back in, because things like that can happen to people. So it's a good little warning for yourself that you haven't put the oil in yet, because the dipstick's hanging out and there's an oil cap sitting here when you go to close the bonnet, something like that. Of course, the oil filter's a bit of a pain, but you know, you just get your long bit of cardboard, half a PVC pipe. You could, if you got a 1Gd and you got to service it yourself, you probably get a bit of 100mm plumbing pipe, the sewer pipe. It's a bit thicker and stronger. Maybe cut it in half, and you can give one to a mate. That way the oil can run straight down that. And of course, you can probably buy a special tool for that, but I haven't looked into it, because I don't specifically try and look at maintaining these. Like I said, the bit of cardboard does the job. It's about 400mm long, about 150mm wide. Just curve it a little bit, give it a bend, and the oil runs down that. And it's a bit of a pain, but you get that. There it is. That's the bit of cardboard. So you can see the oil coming out. It must be pretty clean, because it hasn't left that many stones. We've done a few different vehicles, so if it cleans up that well, it's not too bad, all the oil coming out of these cars, eh? This one averages close to 100 Ks an hour, so it's like it's getting 3 times more oil changes than the average vehicle that averages about 30 Ks an hour. All right, here we go. So just drop the oil out. Most of it's gone, but there's a bit more to go. And I've done a bit of a quick inspection, and I want to show you a couple of things. It's always the aftermarket stuff. Let's have a look. Did they do that fuel filter at 60? Looks pretty clean. I'll say they did it. This hasn't been on any big outback off-road trips this year. The 120's taking care of that. This one's begging for a run, so we're taking it to Fraser Island, and we'll have another trip to Tassie this year as well. So it's going to get a couple of trips, get some highway Ks going on again. Look how clean it is, mate. I mean, if you wanted one of these things, like I said, for sale soon, next year, whatever, brakes will be like new, because like I said, highway Ks, as you can see. Pads are like new, everything's bloody clean. But it's got the Dobinson's monotube with the remote reservoirs, which I'm trialing. I'm not telling people to go buy them. I think you don't need to spend that much money. It increases your unreliability, because there's more components. See where hoses join on, where there could be possible leaks, although this set's come off our 2019, so it's done well over 100,000 Ks. A lot of outback trips, particularly on that car, and no leaks yet. This is the old system with the remote reservoirs, the way they're mounted. Now they've got longer hose, different position. This one's solid. Okay, I did have a bracket also break on one of these once, so keep that in mind. The brackets can break. Can't remember which side it was. Do you remember which side bracket was broken on the remote reservoir? And if he's there, doesn't know, it's all good. But look, you can see that's solid. You know, I'll give that a wobble. It's not moving, so that's a really good bracket there. I bring it right up to the end of the spring, very close. It doesn't touch. Gives you plenty of room to the sway bar there. Do you remember which bracket was broken on there? Was it? Remember the remote reservoir that I had a broken bracket? This side. This side, yeah, passenger side. That's what I thought. So this side here, and it could be to do with the way I've mounted it. You can see the brackets up one end, and the other thing that happened, I don't know if it was left loose. I don't think it can come loose, because there's nylocks on there. So maybe it wasn't tightened up enough in the first place, but what I do, I grab this before a trip and I give them a wobble, and that had quite a bit of movement in it. It's quite solid now. I've got no issue with that now, but so I think it was left loose, to be quite honest. It must have been your side. I think you did this side. Anyway, always got to blame someone else. Probably true, but you know. See the mark, hey?
Before my time.
No. Yeah, I reckon when we put these back in, we changed the springs. We put the 329s in, and you did this side and I did the other side.
Yeah,
and you left it loose. You have a look if you want. So what happened was the this remote reservoir. Have a look at the mark, right? So the mark here, it was slowly sliding that way. So that end there was getting close to the sway bar, and this end was getting away from the spring, which is okay. But I brought it back. You can see the mark. So I loosened it. I brought it back, and I tightened it. It's nice and tight now, though. So you better lift your game on remote reservoirs, mate. Lucky you've never.
Since you're the specialist.
You've never installed remote reservoirs before, so maybe you went, oh yeah, that's enough. Maybe I distracted you and said, hey, can you come and give me a hand with this? But don't get distracted, whatever. Look, that was a bit loose, and they're nylocks, yeah. So it was out a couple mil. So people tighten those brackets down all the way. But like I said, I'm not trying to tell you should go get a set of these. These are in testing. They are good. They're actually awesome value for money. They're really good, three-way adjustable. But this video is not about that. We're just having a look around. I just wanted to show you that. So if you've got them or thinking about it, I just wanted to let you know brackets can break. So I've got to keep a spare now, just in case. But that one's not cracked and it's solid, but it hasn't done, like I said, it hasn't done the corrugations the other car did. That broke on the other vehicle. This has done a lot of highway. This has really done a lot of highway around Australia trips. It's done a few dirt roads here and there, but small percentage compared to our 2019. Did heaps of outback dirt roads in that C word over that lockdown, you know what I mean? Because we went lockdown, we were locked out, you know, so we're outback roads. Anyway, everything's still pretty clean. It's only had one diff oil change. I think the dealer did that one early. That was the other service that was done early before a trip at 35 or 36, and we've got an extra oil change in there, but it's all clean and dry, as you can see. There's plenty of space to get to this starter mode, a nice little lightweight starter mode if you have any issues. Engine mounts look the same as the 1KD. The sump and stuff looks very similar, doesn't it, for those people? You know, it's a 150. Like I said, the brakes are going to be like new here, highway Ks. We've put some aftermarket lower control arms in at 60,000 Ks to trial them. So let's have a quick look at those as well. You can see 0 cracks at 10,000 Ks, but that's what you would expect. But if they were rubbish, you can see cracks starting early, right? So I just want to have a good look in there. That's my marks from when I put it back together. So people that watch the videos, you would have seen me change these arms in a video. I'm sure I would have done a video on that. It'll be in a playlist somewhere, probably in the suspension playlist. Took it to the usual Toyota dealer I go to at the 60,000 K service. They did the wheel alignment for the first time. And since that wheel alignment, it doesn't drive as good as it never had a wheel alignment before that, okay? So it doesn't drive as good. So like I say, I'm not saying it's a bad wheel alignment, but however it was before, it was driving better than it is now. I'm going to check over these lower bolts as well. I'll tighten those just to be sure. Anything aftermarket, I'm going to double check. So I'll check that because sometimes we see those bolts go missing. Rare, but sometimes. What else I got? This flap up here. This clip at the top has been popping up ever since the vehicle was new. Pops out, pops out, pops out. I've given up on it, I think. You know, I tucked that behind there. You can put it in. It'll just come out. I'll put a new clip on there. Didn't even ask for warranty. I just put the new clip in there. Nothing happened. The other thing you could do if you went under warranty, you could ask for new upper control arms because of that sweat on the ball joint. There's nothing wrong with it. They might try and blame your aftermarket suspension. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's on both of them. So having a little bit more travel could be a contributor to it, but it's quite common that we see that there. It's not a problem. It's not something to worry about, but I'm just saying under warranty, you might get them, or they might just blame the suspension, so don't worry about it too much. How's this oil drain going? Drip, drip, drip. Give it a bit longer. Let's get this oil filter off. Have a look where it is, right? Water position. Bang. It's going to leak straight down on here. That's why you need to keep, if you've got that piece of like PVC pipe and it just, you know, it sort of goes under here like that and it catches it, bang, straight down into your drain tray. If I did a lot of these, I'd have one of those set up. What do you use for your 1GDs? You got a setup or you got a bit of cardboard? You got a setup? What do you use? Bit of tube, like PVC pipe, yeah? Yeah, that's it. That's the go. Beautiful. You should have cut it in half. Where's my half? Inconsiderate, mate. Unbelievable. Okay, so DIY style again for you. I've got the oil draining still here into the drain tray. I've got the oil filter off. You got to unscrew it. It starts leaking out. You got to catch all the... I'm not letting one... It makes mess, right? You get drips that starts making mess. It gets hard to clean. It's really simple. he actually said the cardboard works better. Well, maybe because it's more flexible. So there you go. Maybe that's why I've stuck with the cardboard. This cardboard is going for years. It's done all my 1GD oil changes and probably a few customers' cars, but not too many on the 1GD. So follow the videos. You could probably do this yourself. Like I said, might be risky for your warranty on your DPF and your timing chain and all that. So you might be better to just keep paying the money since you chose that vehicle with that engine. Just keep paying the money to them to keep yourself covered. I'm just trying to give you the best advice I can, you know, but then it might be better just to save the money, do it yourself, because you're going to pay hundreds and hundreds more than you need to over a price of an oil filter at lsiauto.com.au, discount code 4B4-2024, and your oil from the Toyota dealer, whatever, or just get your oil filter there as well, whatever, right? And your bit of cardboard, you can get that wherever you like. And then all the money you save will contribute towards those repairs. You've still got injectors to replace. You've got possible DPF issues. You've got timing chain guide issues, 3 days work, expensive parts, and you've got EGR cooler that could start internally leaking. And that's just to get you started. Isn't that enough to go, get you thinking like I am? You don't really want to own it too long term, if you know what I mean. I mean, look, each to their own. Doesn't matter. If you've got the money, you love it, you can afford it, doesn't matter. It's each to their own, right? So I'm going to just let this drain for a while, go find something else to do. I'm not in a hurry. If I was in a hurry, if I had to pump this thing out, I'd get up there with a rag, wipe that oil filter, get the new oil filter on there that had stopped that leaking, then I'd pull this down, give that a wipe clean with a rag. But you can see the oil, quite black, right? 0% since this oil change. So there you go. Still pretty bloody filthy, but yeah, it doesn't all come out, right? That's the one. A lot of anyway. Butterbean. Gave it a quick wipe and you can see the oil keeps leaking down. So there's not much you can do about that. You're not going to be able to get there to wipe it and get the oil filter on before it leaks out. So just wipe it to make sure it's generally clean for the sealing surface. It's just clean, dirty oil coming out. So just put the oil filter on, get this out of the way, this cardboard, and then get your rag and wipe underneath the bottom, seal the oil filter very thoroughly. Otherwise, when that oil gets hot, you'll have that little bit of oil at the bottom there leaking out underneath, and you'll be thinking your oil filter's leaking when it's not. So that's the next step. Oil filter's here ready to go. So there it is, the oil filter's up there in position. It's just made the seal. We'll get this out of the way, clean it up and tighten it up properly. Basically, long story short, tight as you can by hand. Okay, so while I'm waiting for that to finish dripping, and it pretty much has, I went and lubricated the drive shaft, propeller shaft. So I just want to talk about that for a minute. Everyone's got a different system, what works for them or what works for their full drive, their car, their tractor, their PTO, whatever it is. And I'm going to tell you what I think works on these vehicles. Now, PTOs, they talk about pumping a lot to make sure you've got fresh grease through every single one of them. And think about it, it's operating in dusty, dirty conditions. It's probably a good idea. It's like a repack, pushing it out, make a lot of mess and just clean it all up afterwards. That's probably a good idea. I'm not going to argue with that. Pull the shaft apart, put the grease in it like what you normally do. But that's another story, PTOs, right? But on these Toyotas, this is what I think works, right? Now you can see on this one, I've done about, I think I did the 10,000, 20,000. I reckon they did the 30, 40, I might have done a 50 and they did the 60 something. So we've done half each, right? Either way, there's not a lot of grease here between us. And lubricating this one, they took quite a few pumps, let me explain, before I heard grease coming out. And that's what I do, right? I want to see the grease start. I don't want to pump it out to make a massive mess, but ideally I want to see some grease start coming out. Maybe not even this much, giving you a really good picture here of how much. Maybe, and that's just from the greasy rag I was holding, turning the bit of rust prevention for a Fraser trip, mate. Anyway, you know, greasy hands and rags and stuff. Slip joint, 2 or 3 pumps. Again, it's going to depend what gun you've got. This one looks quite dry. There's not a lot of, I don't want mess, but I don't want too dry. So I think I gave this 3 pumps of the normal standard big size grease gun, you know, the standard sort of thing, whatever you call it, in there. I haven't wiped those yet. I'll wipe those afterwards. Maybe I won't. That one there, same thing. See the grease just starting to come out. So what I'm doing, I want a quiet environment and I'm listening for the grease to come out and I'm looking for the grease to come out. Same thing in this one. I gave it 2 or 3 pumps. You don't see much. You don't want to pump it till you jam it all up and you see that's just dust stuck on grease. Don't worry about that. I'll get a rag and I'll wipe that to freshen up that shaft because that's how I roll. They probably don't do that. But that one, same thing. It took Normally these uni joints, if people have, on my 120, I've lubed it regularly for 10 years, right? It takes about a pump and I can start hearing and seeing grease. So I know there's grease in there, it's coming out. I don't want to make too much mess, beautiful, but mess is better than dry joints, right? But in this one, it took 3 pumps in each uni joint before I heard or saw any grease coming out. So, you know, maybe, you know, a bit of a lack of, not enough grease, but just you can see it's definitely coming, just starting to come out now. Not stupid amounts, but you know you got grease in the joints. And you're going to see the same story up here. See that bit of wetness just starting to come out? You don't need to make a big amount of mess. Just listen when you hear the air go and come out and then a little bit of grease coming out. Stop. That's my opinion anyway. So again, like I've said before, wrap your rag around that thing and just strangle it and give it a good rub and look at it. Comes up beautiful, right? And that new grease will just get out there. You can see the main in and out areas a short distance. So this, you know, maybe we'll put some... Let's spray some WD-40, CRC, RP7, Inox, any of that type product on here on a rag and give a bit more of a rub. Not too worried about cleaning up yet, but something to keep an eye on because you want this to be clean so it doesn't damage this seal. Now, these are not prone to damage, but obviously, particularly this one's going to go in and out a lot more, bouncing around where the front doesn't move as much. So be mindful of this one, give it a good clean when you're lubricating and stuff like that is what I'd recommend, because why wouldn't you? The oil we use as supplied by the dealer based on this VIN number for this vehicle. This is what they've supplied. That's what we use. It's full synthetic. I note that some of the other GD engines use a different listing, and we keep a little bit of that in stock also for services for the earlier ones. And that'd be this one. Okay, so same engine. Same, different, same. I'm not going to ask questions or try and explain. Just do whatever they say based on your VIN number. Like I said, DPFs aren't cheap. Timing chains, guides, too many oil changes, no such thing on this engine. Once you're all done up there with that oil filter, that's what it should look like. Not a drop of oil anywhere down in here. Not a drop. Give it a good wipe up underneath there, and it'll get a wash as well, degreaser and pressure washer, both under and over in that area to make sure it's Mickey Mouse, because I don't want me or you thinking that we might have an oil leak, particularly where we're on a trip, fully relaxed, bada bing. That's why you have spare 1Gds at home in case everything does go wrong. You just send it with RAC Total Care and get the other vehicle, mate. They fly you around, give you loan cars. Don't go more than 100 Ks from home without RAC. Top level cover is my recommendation. I reckon we can put this, get rid of this sump plug washer. We have got a new one ready to go. Your sump plug is back in. Don't worry about the cleaning outside here yet. See the sump though, bone dry. Spray your brake cleaner, torque spec. I think it's 34, 35. It'll be the same as the 1Gd. Same plug, same washer, same threaded sump. It's going to be same will do. So about 35. I think 34 is the official. You can look it up for me, see if the 1Gd is any different, see if they change their mind. Don't over tighten it. It'll cost you a sump. You can pretty well change that easily yourself, but it's going to be at least a couple $100, maybe 300. You can see you can get to it with the bash plates off. Now this plate's got to go back on, and we'll give all this plate a final clean up also. As I said, got a wheel alignment done at 60,000 at the dealer. Never been touched before. I put the arms in, I did these up nice and tight, and I decided to check these, and they're tight now. One was tight, one was considerably loose. And I thought, well, I better check the front. So I've dropped the bash plate. I could get into one side, and I noticed it was loose, because you can see I'm tightening it up still. Right, I've already done a couple of turns tightening it, so it was probably about a turn too loose, and I had to drop the bash plate down a little bit like this to be able to get to the other one here. So let's see where that one's at. See if it's a matter of one side's done, one side's not. This is just a spanner, it's not a long bar. Not good enough, mate. Not good enough, right? So careful who you take your vehicle to get things done, because that is not good. Same old story, right? And you think, you know, they say, oh, we know who you are, we don't want videos, and I've got the man for you, and all this sort of talk, right? Both these front bolts about a turn too loose, still going. You could put a long bar, whatever, but that's about tight enough now, right? Anyway, not happy, Jan. All right, so the oil's in. That's about it for this video. Let's just go across the service checklist and see what's actually involved in a 70,000 kilometre service. It's, look, I'll try not to laugh. Okay, check for outstanding campaigns. We can go and check for recalls if you like. Inspect driver's floor mat for correct fitment and retention. Like every service, you meant to check if the mats are fitted correctly. Unbelievable. Inspect internal lights. So check all your lights, inspect your battery. That means, you know, you can take those caps off and have a look, or you can look through the level on the side of the battery, see the marks there. If you don't know what I'm talking about, check our battery playlist. Inspect engine air cleaner element. So you can look at that. You can look at that little indicator there with a little black dot on it. And you can open it up and you can clean the MAP sensor if you want, depending on what you find, how much dust you've had. We haven't had a lot of dust. There's a little bit, as you can see over the engine. Hasn't really been on trips, just a couple of dirt roads here and there. Clean airflow meter, because on these engines, they are a bit sensitive to a dirty MAP sensor. So let's do that as part of the service. That's still to go. Inspect brake fluid. Check. Power steering fluid. Check. Oh, it's on the lower side of the line. I might even add a little bit into that. So it's going to be the same steering rack as all the other 150s. Could have that slow leak we've discussed. Check the vehicle service inspection playlist for more info. Inspect accessory items, whatever the hell that means. Is that in the car, out of the car, whatever. Just check everything out. Inspect internal lights. Make sure your interior light's working. Your horn, beep, beep. Wipers and washers, make sure it's clear in the screen. Fill up your washer bottle. Inspect seatbelt, webbing, condition, buckle, retractor. Have a look at your belts, make sure they're good. Drain oil, replace engine oil filter, done. Lubricated that. Tighten those, you can do that if you like. Tighten the propeller shaft. I tightened a number of nuts and bolts, just checking everything was tight, other than what we spoke about. Drive shaft boots are good. Brake pads like new at 70,000 Ks and will be for a long time. Tyre and tyre pressures, we'll have a look at the tyres are getting flogged because they're crappy BFG KO2s. We'll check the pressures, get them ready for the trip. Engine is filled with oil. Inspect water sedimenter, you know, that's on the drain on the bottom of that. I never see water in filters, so whatever. Check fluid levels. We sort of covered that by saying battery, power steering, oil, brake fluid, batteries, coolant bottle, like I said, with the EJAC cooler problems on these, and fill up your washer bottle. Final inspection and road test. All right, that's it, people. You know, that's all you need to do. Bada bing, bada boom. It's up to you whether you do it or whether you take it to the dealer. You know the risks involved. If not, keep watching videos and do some homework before you make your decision what you're going to do on this D4D engine. Catch ya.